If you are anxious, then of course it's influencing how you parent your anxious child. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a good thing. It is a neutral thing. It is just a fact. If we're anxious, then of course it stands to reason that's going to influence how we parent our child. If our child is anxious, that's going to increase our anxiety. And interestingly, sometimes we are anxious and we project that anxiety on our child who is not actually anxious. I've seen that happen before in the families that I work with. Here's the thing though. How will determining that change the way you address your child's anxiety? If it's your anxiety, I mean, how will that change the way you address the anxiety you see in your child? This is what the research tells us. The research tells us that anxiety is really about a pattern happening in the family, and we don't always know if that pattern is originating in the parent's anxiety or in the child's anxiety, which is to say, the same pattern can be seen in both scenarios. So specifically, I'm thinking of a study that said it turns out these anxious kids are not anxious. The parent is anxious. Turns out that. And then I've seen other studies that go, turns out the child's anxiety creates anxiety in the parent. Turns out that. And in both cases, the treatment is the same, which is interrupting those patterns that are created by either parental anxiety or child anxiety and teaching everyone how to stop parenting with anxiety avoidance and instead address the anxiety. It makes sense for the intervention to start with the parent, in part because it could be the parent's anxiety. The parent's anxiety may be what's influenced the pattern first, but also, even if it's the child's anxiety, it's the parent who is going to interrupt the pattern.